the Apopka Studios in Oklahoma City, this is OSU Football with Brandon Chatmon. I'm Jenni Carlson. Brandon, the question that most Cowboy fans have right now is who's going to be that next Oklahoma State offensive coordinator? Mike Gundy sounds like he's not going to make that hire until after the bowl game. But in your mind, who's on that list? Who could possibly be the next OC at OSU?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of names on that list. I think a guy that a lot of people are talking about, a lot of people are pointing to is East Carolina's offensive coordinator, Lincoln Riley. He's a young guy. He's an up-and-comer. He's a guy that in his first season calling plays, he had a really good season out at East Carolina. They put up some pretty good numbers. So he's a guy who you might want to bring on and kind of show the ropes a little bit. And he's a guy who might stick around a little bit longer than Dana Holgorsen did. And he's a guy, like I said before, he's a young guy. He'll be able to talk to these young players. He'll be able to really utilize those players as well. So he might be a guy you want to keep an eye on.
Sounds like that Oklahoma State would like to go and get an offensive coordinator that coaches the same style that they have right now. That kind of narrows the list of possibilities. You're looking at, maybe a guy like Kliff Kingsbury, who's down at Houston where Holgorsen was. Seth Luttrell played at Texas Tech, at Arizona now. They've gotten away from that a little bit. But the pool is a little bit smaller when you look at it that way. In your mind, is that limiting, or is that a good thing that Oklahoma State said, we want to run the same thing?
I think it's a little bit limiting, but the good thing is you can ask a guy like Mike Leach. You can ask a guy like Dana Holgorsen, hey, who are some of the younger assistants who you think kind of reminds you of yourself? Who are some of the guys you feel like can come into this system, make the transition smooth, make us be able to have a good season next season? And so that's the good thing. You can go to those two guys. You have pretty good relationships with those two guys, and they might be able to kind of point you in the right direction. Obviously, it makes your pool of potential candidates a little bit smaller, but why would you want to change this offense? Let's be honest. You went 10-2 in a year where you weren't sure what was going to happen with this team, and you had an outstanding offense. So why would you change that?
Let's talk internal candidates. Doug Meacham looks like he's maybe the one guy that could percolate up into this job. What are the chances that you see him getting the job? And is there a possibility that if he's part of the equation, could it be a co-situation? Could there be an outside hire and Doug Meacham involved with this offense?
I think that's a possibility, just simply because the thing about Dana Holgorsen that people are kind of not thinking about, overlooking a little bit, he coached up the quarterbacks and the receivers. So if you bring in a guy like maybe a Doug Meacham, maybe you want to bring in a quarterbacks coach who can really spend a lot of time with those quarterbacks, really kind of take those quarterbacks through certain things, certain reads, make sure that he puts in the time with those guys that maybe Doug Meacham might not have, being a kind of a receivers coach in the past. So you might want to bring in a guy and have co-offensive coordinators. You might want to do a situation like that. I mean, one thing's clear, there's going to be a lot of people who want this job, so you have a lot of options.
All right. Thanks, Brandon. Hey, stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.